Hi, I'm Scott Silver.
And I'm Colton Cook.
We're members of the Ghostbusters of Salt Lake, here for Dungeon Crawlers Radio from the back seat of our own Ectomobile to do a review of the Ghostbusters 2016 trailer.
So Scott, what were your first reactions after seeing the trailer?
I was 5 again. It felt like I was just a little kid watching Ghostbusters for the first time in the movie theater.
Oh, I was born in 1994, so I was not 5 again. I was 13 again, and I was watching Ghostbusters for the first time. No, I really liked it. I've been hopefully optimistic about this new movie coming out, partly because it feels like a Ghostbusters for my generation. You know, it feels like my chance to, go to a premiere and be all excited about it and buy myself a lunchbox like 21-year-olds did back in your day. So Scott, what worked about the trailer for you?
For me, mostly it was the music. Like, honestly, the music was so well done. We've been listening to variations of the original Ghostbusters theme for the last 30 years now. It grabbed your heart and got you beating to the rhythm. Like, it's awesome.
It's true. My eyes kind of welled with tears a little bit when that first piano came on. It was beautiful. A lot of it was about the technology and equipment. I'm a big nut when it comes to the original proton packs and traps. For me, I was skeptical about the aesthetic of this movie at first, but as soon as we saw the big ghost bear trap, I was in.
The first part that you come to 30 years ago, that is...
I could see general audiences being really confused about when this movie takes place and where it takes place in relation to the original films.
You're supposed to be pulled into a movie in the trailer, and yet this is breaking the fourth wall because those scientists never existed. This is trying to pull audiences in, saying, yes, 30 years ago you experienced 4 scientists saving New York, and now you're going to get to see that again in modern times. And based on what Paul Feig has said, that's what we're expected to believe, unless that's a lie.
You know, I doubt it. However, the imagery of the Firehouse is coupled by like modern cars driving past, which kind of is an interesting juxtaposition. That image was a fourth wall break showing what the original films were, trying to bridge the gap as far as marketing goes, just for marketing purposes. However, the modern cars and everything on that shot kind of leads me to believe that, I don't know, maybe there's either some things that they aren't thinking about or some things that we don't know about.
I would say there's some things that we don't know about, and I would venture up the possibility that this is a possible Ghostbusters 3. And I know that that's been stated again and again, but then again, Slimer was stated not in the film. Yes, we'll get to that later. I'm just saying that it is a possibility. And even Dan Aykroyd, because he loves making everything perfectly clear, thank you, Dan, posted on his Twitter feed, Ghostbusters 3 is finally happening. Wasn't that trailer great?
P.S. Go buy Crystal Head vodka.
It feels like this is a third and not a reboot from those.
That's true. Moments. That's kind of implied with the opening. However, that could just be a complete misnomer just for marketing purposes.
This one shot, hearing the music, that's my childhood right there. I mean, it's beautiful. I
really love this shot because you see all these big modern New York buildings with the original Ghostbusters Firehouse next to it. It kind of symbolizes for me what the franchise has become and hopefully what this movie will bring us out of. And that is just kind of films moving on and people slowly forgetting about the franchise. Other movies are towering above it. It's no longer the box office king, and it's just kind of a weird little nostalgic movie that you see on Comedy Central from time to time. It's kind of interesting that they're bringing it back, and I hope that, if nothing else, this movie will just kind of make the Firehouse look a little bit bigger in the city skyline, so to speak.
The ghost with the graffiti spray paint. Now, this frame, I almost want to say, is strictly for marketing purposes. But then again, there could be the possibility that, as ghosts are starting to haunt New York, it could have been a possibility that this is where ghosts were sighted. Like maybe someone put this up as a warning, and then maybe as the Ghostbusters came through, they crossed it out.
I really hope that's the case. I think it would be kind of cool to have them go around like guerrilla warfare, kind of claiming territory and stuff against the ghosts. I feel like that could kind of work, especially with the kind of grungy aesthetic they're pushing with this film. I really hope this shot actually makes it into the final film.
So do I. So do I. And it does make me wonder. It does make me wonder which comes first, the Ghostbusters logo or Buster the ghost.
No, it's
Buster?
Rowan.
Rowan's
Ghost.
Rowan's ghost. My mistake. So there is a ghost named Rowan. Rowan's ghost, right? They've revealed him in the toy line, and so it makes me wonder which one came first, the no ghost or Rowan.
I love that Jillian Holtzman, played by Kate McKinnon, is eating a bag of chips.
Pringles, like
yes.
a can just right there, and it's hanging out of her mouth.
I love that she appears to be somewhat of a skeptic who, in this encounter, is kind of dragged into their world. I kind of think that works with her kind of rebellious, edgy aesthetic.
I'm not a big Melissa McCarthy fan. Not a fan at all.
No.
Well, not a big fan. But in this scene, hearing her say,
It's a class 4 operation.
like, I feel, wow, she might be able to pull this off.
Yeah, you can sense a real kind of urgency and awe in her voice, and that's really good because it shows that her character could have some depth, which is something that I wasn't initially expecting from Melissa McCarthy. Whenever I think of her, I just think of clumsy Melissa McCarthy falling everywhere and vomiting out of either end.
And speaking of vomiting,
so the third Ghostbuster in the scene, played by Kristen Wiig, is Erin Gilbert. She gets vomited on by this ghost. At first glance, it kind of looks like the exact same scene as the Eleanor Twitty librarian ghost lady scene in the first movie. However, it takes an abrupt turn.
and I hate to say this, but I think that the projectile vomiting of slime is so in line with Ghostbusters humor. Like, obviously it updates it, it brings it into the modern age, but it reminds me of back in Men in Black with the whole projectile vomit thing. Like,
true.
it's the same kind of brand of humor.
This has been part of the Ghostbusters kind of mythology since, at the very least, 2009 with Ghostbusters the video game. A lot of ghosts in that, especially Slimer, vomited on you as one of their long-range attacks. So it's kind of cool to see that in a live-action movie. This isn't like an actual remake of that specific scene. It looks like they're in some sort of museum, some kind of like Victorian house that's been roped off, that little section, and it looks like they've been kind of hunting for a while, and then suddenly, bam, they're face to face with this thing. So I kind of like that aspect where, you go for an extended period of time seeing nothing, and then suddenly, blah.
I love the look of the ghost because even Paul Feig explained in a question and answer, in a Q&A, that the ghost was an actual actress hoisted up, and she was wearing an LED suit. So the actress could act to her, so that she could actually be in this location, and then there's just massive CGI thrown on top of her to make her, give her this aura, this glow.
I love seeing the kind of aesthetic of the ghosts. You can see the shadows of the skeleton and even sometimes the skull within them, and kind of brings it more depth. You can kind of envision them as actual like dead people.
So it really does show how Paul Feig said that The Walking Dead was his inspiration. Like, he would watch Walking Dead for inspiration for how to do like ghost horror for this movie, and it really shows in the ghosts. He wanted the ghosts to be more realistic. He wanted them to be very much what ghosts would actually look like you're saying. And I love that realistic feel. It's definitely a departure from the original Ghostbusters that pulled in ghosts from across the universe, from other dimensions. They kind of opened up that ethereal plane, so you get ghosts like the subway ghost, you get ghosts like the taxi driver ghost, which is just like the zombie look that these guys have, except with, obviously, they have much more ethereal glow. None of the big fans, when we first saw this scene, caught this, but this frame, this is obviously the Firehouse. We've got the green paint, we've got the poles, but the thing is, like, no one reported them actually going to the LA Firehouse. Like, that would have been all over the internet.
Yeah,
this is a set.
This is a soundstage, but boy, it's decorated beautifully. Everything looks so authentic as far as the original Firehouse goes.
Which is also funny because Paul Feig even said, they're not going to be able to afford this great firehouse. They're going to work from above a Chinese restaurant, which I feel is funnier. He really liked that idea, and yet here we see again we're inside the firehouse.
It's my belief that this firehouse, or this room painted up to look like the firehouse, is Jillian Holtzman's lab before she meets up and joins with the Ghostbusters. You can see she's very well set up in there. She's been there for quite a while, it looks like. And yeah, I could see her being kind of a zany person who just lives in a firehouse by herself, working on all sorts of dangerous munitions and science-y.
Do you think she's Egon's daughter?
No, I don't think she's Egon's daughter.
So we really don't... I'm just saying, like, if it isn't a reboot, if it was all alive, it's a deception, could it be? Could it be?
Honestly, I hadn't really considered it, but seeing her set up in the firehouse like that, it would be kind of cool. Assuming this were Ghostbusters 3.
Assuming.
It would be kind of cool to have that angle. Have her be a descendant of one of the originals, and have her be keeping it alive within the firehouse like Egon did in Extreme Ghostbusters, the cartoon series.
Exactly. She has the hair, she has the look, she has the talent.
Yes.
She's perfect.
Obviously, we see the giant ghost bear trap thing that looks like a combination of a ghost trap and a proton pack.
Right, it's got the core of the proton pack.
Yeah, that was something that I found kind of interesting.
So is it a bear trap, or is this actually... See, and that's what I was wondering, if this was the pre-proton pack.
Possibly.
I like that too, but at the same time, if you'll notice, in that little tank there on the right, we can see the ghost trap. The ghost trap that's been revealed online. So that really makes me wonder, is this the lab at the beginning of the movie where she's living, the zany lab, or is this actually the lab later on when they get more money, when they can afford the firehouse? Because that bear trap could be reminiscent of something needing something bigger, something more powerful, which obviously they do upgrade their equipment through the movie.
It would be kind of cool to have that be the Super Slammer, if you will, from the video game, where it's a big old trap to suck in big old ghosts. Should we talk about that series of tubes on the counter?
So it looks to me, it looks like a cannon. It really does. It looks like a cannon with a whole bunch of different levels on the outside.
It certainly has that proton pack glow that the big bear trap thing next to it has, and that the proton packs revealed later in the trailer have. I think if the big bear trap is an upgraded trap, then it stands to reason that that could be an upgraded proton pack gun.
Yeah, like a cannon or some kind of like a Gatling gun.
I could see it being a Gatling gun just because of the tubes that it's made out of. Yeah, you can definitely make out the handle there.
Yeah. So yeah, you can clearly see that it looks like some kind of handle in the background. It definitely looks like a cannon. And what looks like extra tubes underneath it and canisters, possibly for cooling, which according to the video that we saw later on, released by Sony on their hidden website.
Oh, yes.
That they actually talk about the need for the cooling.
Yeah.
On the proton packs. And I could see that as those.
You can really tell how much thought went into designing all of the equipment.
Now, something interesting about that possible the trap, if you look, there is a green glow going around the tube. Almost like it's actually transferring ghosts from what they've stated on the website to be the trap, and moving around and eventually down through different machines. Because I still believe that later on we see the containment unit when Kevin kicks open that door in the basement.
Chris Hemsworth.
I believe that's a containment unit.
That would be cool. I would like to see some kind of, like, I don't know, bank tube depository system for ghosts related to the ecto-containment unit. That could be kind of cool with like a multi-level system.
And how cool would that look to flush the ghosts, to flush and see them go down, up, and you could even see like so much room for humor in that as the face like goes up the tube. I'm sorry, I think that's hilarious.
What if it works the other way and that's kind of a viewing tank like we see in Ghostbusters the video game, and they can summon ghosts up from the ECU and study them in their lab? I haven't seen the movie.
One last thing about the shot is that this is definitely the back of the firehouse based on the stair location. Most modern firehouses are.
Although we still don't know if this is the firehouse. It could just be a building modeled after the firehouse for us uber nerds who would appreciate that.
That's true. Oh, Patty Tolan. We actually get to see her in the subway. This is her first sighting of a ghost, which I appreciate because it almost appears what she's looking at is that it almost looks
They look like scuba feet or something.
I was gonna say
Flippers.
it looks like the guy's floating backwards, and it looks like he's in an electrical chair. I want to say like Scolari brother, even.
Yeah,
especially
no, you can
with
see the stripes on the baggy suit that he's wearing there.
Yeah, I almost want to say something like that, but why would he be backing up towards her? You know?
Oh, who knows? Maybe there's a train coming? I don't know.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing that I thought of. It's the train, subway. It's really calling back to the Winston Zedmore subway scene.
That's definitely a prison outfit. Okay.
Oh my gosh. And I will admit, if I was a Ghostbuster with a proton pack, this would get me giddy. Like, I would be just, time to go to town. That's...
Honestly, it just makes me think of the video game once again. When you're in the hotel for the second time and you see all the whispers of ghosts or whatever they call them, the shadows of ghosts. That's what this reminds me of. It's very realistic, it's very grounded, and boy, is that exciting. Nuclear.
I do love the nuclear love. That's awesome,
So
and I
do I.
love that we actually see the little Geiger counter counting up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that makes me excited. And you can see that the proton pack is actually cycling. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
There is a physical movement of the central... what is that? It's not a...
Synchrotron.
Synchrotron. It's a synchrotron. It's not a cyclotron like the original proton packs, even though it's still spinning, which I do appreciate. I love our 84s.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. But there's something so complex and realistic and dangerous about these that just kind of works.
Okay, see now this is the front of the firehouse. You can see the red doors in the front. The green doors obviously were in the back, as they're talking about the bear trap.
Mm-hmm. And you can also see what we are now calling the Gatling gun, which looks a lot more like a Gatling gun in this shot. You can see the handle just poking out at the right there. Now, before we move on, that monitor in the background says V. Clortho and D. Barrett. Yeah, so they're obviously adding a lot of little nods, just little subtle Easter eggs for the fans to hunt down, and we will.
It's also interesting to note the Ecto 1 is not in the garage.
That's a good point. That was a very good point. In fact, everything on the floor looks so sparkly and clean. I would say this is definitely before the Ecto 1 comes into play.
Yeah, and plus where's Leslie's character?
Exactly. Patty isn't there, the Ecto isn't there. This is probably before they are busting ghosts, as opposed to the end of the movie.
But that's so hard for me to accept. The bear trap? I mean, that's just... I guess
It'll probably be a crossing the stream sort of thing, where they mention it earlier on, and then it comes into play at the very end.
it's true. Or this could literally be the first version of the proton pack.
Could be. So, in this shot with all the things on the whiteboard, you can see at the top, spelled out paranormalstudieslab.com. If you go to that link, they have a nifty little video explaining the progress of their designing the equipment and the scientific inspiration behind it all. It's really pretty fascinating.
Now this I want to say that this is later on in the movie because now she's wearing the headpiece and we see her possessed at the end of the trailer.
That's true.
I want to say, and this is again echoing back to the original Ghostbusters, Louis Tully, yes, have some. And Dana Barrett.
Obviously an updated version of the neural scanner that we see in the first film. What do we want to say about Patty? Do we want to bring up the controversies?
Okay, I don't know if it was a race thing or a lady thing, but I'm mad as hell.
Okay, so we could go into these controversies about, that they're all women. We could go into controversies about Leslie being black, her character being black in this and being the one who's not a scientist. But the truth is, even Leslie has been very upfront about saying, look, we are all Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter, if we're scientists, who we are, if we're women, what does any of that matter?
Yep,
The fact is we're all people and we're all stepping up to the challenge.
Exactly. She said no matter your class race, gender, hashtag we are all Ghostbusters.
And I also love the person who actually is a subway worker who actually said, this is one of the hardest jobs that I've ever had. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, how they say, I can be a Ghostbuster. Paul Feig wrote these characters, and then he chose 4 funny people that fit the roles. And Patty is in your face.
The power of Patty compels you!
I think she is a great contrast to Kristen Wiig, who usually plays kind of a vulnerable character and is a very vulnerable kind of comedian. I think they'll work well off each other. Hey, Scott.
Yes.
What kind of car is this?
It's a Cadillac!
Yep, I once again love Jillian. Just mouth gaping looking at this beautiful car. I must say, I love every shot of the car driving. When the Ectomobile was first revealed, I absolutely hated it.
Absolutely hated it.
Seeing it in motion, oh, the cinematography is so cool. And in the later shots, you can see like the blue light underneath the roof rack and the yellow light up in front. Oh, it just looks so great.
I miss the old bar light.
Yeah.
And even sitting here still, there's a lot of aesthetics I don't like. I still hate to say it, I'm still not completely on board with the car. And of course we see the Proton Pack Mark 1.
Yes, that's important to point out, the big bulky guns. Also, I believe in that big bag that Jillian is carrying might be the ghost trap.
I'm thinking stage 1 ghost trap.
Yep.
You can see there's also something else behind the bag there. Some kind of like metal canister, I'm not sure what that is.
Actually, that could be the Gatling gun again. You can see what might be a handle up there.
The Gatling gun could even be part of the trap. I mean, it's right next to the bear trap.
That's true.
That could even be the bear trap.
Possibly.
Maybe. We can see on Abby's belt, she has the PK meter. Now, we know that they say that there's an energy, or a machine that's increasing paranormal energy, but this doesn't look like a machine. That looks like an actual portal to the netherworld.
Yep, once again, just brings me back to the video game. When you're shooting the mandala node in the museum, just brings me right back. It just fills me with some amount of nostalgia. The lighting in this movie is beautiful. Just the coloring and everything, it's great.
Slimer.
Yep.
Slimer is
Gotta
back.
talk about Slimer.
And look, and he is Slimer.
And he acts like Slimer. He's raiding hot dog carts. Look at that.
Yes, yes. It is. It's perfect. And you'll notice this is later on in the movie because they have the proton grenades strapped to their chest.
That's true. Now, this shot. This is possibly the most important shot in the movie. This could allude to some really big stuff, some really exciting stuff. You're in Times Square. You see all these ghosts. They're flying up in the air. There's some appearing exponentially on the ground. And you see this energy wave come down the buildings. What you might not catch is that it's turning modern-day Times Square into what looks like early 1970s Times Square. All the ads are from 1971 to 1973.
Right. Taxi Driver, that came out, what, 1973? Boris Karloff's Snake People, that was 1970...
71. I looked it up. Everything is very much old school. It looks like the energy field stops at the ground. None of the cars are affected. None of the people are affected. But
More ghosts are appearing.
It looks as though all these ghosts are dressed in different time periods, different clothing from different generations. And there could be some time travel play in this movie. If they do it right, it could work out. If they do it related to the time periods in which the ghosts come from, that would be amazing.
It really would be. Now, okay, doesn't this guy remind you of the Taxi Driver? I'm sorry.
Okay, it reminds me of The Mummy Returns. I love this scene because Jillian Holtzman, she's completely crazy.
The hat is too much, right? Is it the wig or the hat?
What I love about Holtzman is that she seems really eccentric and weird in her aesthetic and style, but in her jokes and comedy, she's very deadpan. She's very Egon, which is perfect for her. It's a really nice contrast. I think she will be the one to bring the patented Ghostbusters sarcasm to this movie.
Oh, yeah. On the bottom of the proton packs, there's equipment. That ghost vacuum thing that we don't even know really what it does. We've seen it in the props. It's on the bottom of Patty's proton pack there.
Yep, they just hook on equipment onto the bottom of the packs, which is kind of cool because they don't actually have utility belts like they did in the first 2 films. Instead, they just attach things to the backboard of the pack.
We can also see they have some leg holsters there, my personal favorite. And then we've got the big tall guy. Now we can also see in the background that time kind of wrinkle coming down the building and making the building disappear.
Yep.
It's literally making the building disappear because that building didn't exist in 1971, 73, that time period. I got friends on the other side.
Oh, we see a nice shot of Aaron here, sporting what is revealed to be some sort of boson dart cannon, if you've ever played Ghostbusters, the video game.
And I almost want to say it's a single use, but definitely when she fires it, we see that boson proton ball. Like, that's a boson dart.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly a boson dart.
That's what it is to us.
Yes. And then the gun's hidden inside. For me, like, I always liked having things attached to the proton pack. So having things detach kind of bothers me. Because, you need that particle accelerator. So there has to be, I'm guessing it's like a charge.
Yeah.
We can even see the 3 lights. I'm guessing maybe 3 shots each.
Maybe. But it did definitely establish that the proton packs have to charge up. And that's what the readout, above the nuclear love sticker is. So the same could be applied to these smaller weapons that detach. Really nice shot. Really well done. But you can see like this wall of green spirits behind her. And if you notice, all of these shots with all of these individual characters, none of them are together until it shows the 3 of them shooting in unison.
And even that could be at the beginning of this fight.
That's true. But our theory is that these green ghosts are trying to separate them to divide and conquer our heroes.
But I also love the melee gauntlet glove.
Oh, the way the lightning connects to the ghost before the punch is actually delivered.
And then the way the ghost kind of explodes, which for me, I'm all about containment instead of destruction. And so I hope that they bring that in and say, we can hurt the ghost, we can,
My guess is that it will temporarily kind of spread their particles, and then they'll kind of reform.
Gotcha. And the car is also older, which makes me wonder if it's just an old car in the shot or if this was actually part of the time travel.
Beautiful shot of the streams. I know you were freaking out about this.
We need the classic streams. That is Ghostbusters. No matter where you're at, no matter when you're at, you need these classic streams as Ghostbusters.
Absolutely.
And it's such a relief to see them here.
So beautiful.
Whatever changes, the streams need to remain the same.
They're beautifully done, too.
Now, also, it's interesting, there are no more ghosts. Either one, they haven't finished the CGI.
Well,
they were surrounded.
I would assume that at this point they're fighting the big baddie, possibly Rowan's ghost that we discussed earlier. Here we see the possessed Kevin, played by Chris Hemsworth, going into what is reminiscent of Shandor's Island from, once again, Ghostbusters, the video game. We think that this could be the machine that is amplifying paranormal energy that is alluded to in the dialogue. Either way, Kevin is almost definitely possessed here, just like Abby will be in the next scene.
Because every time we've talked about Kevin or heard anything about Kevin, it's been that he's this Louis Tully kind of character.
Yeah, now he's really powerful and very menacing. Yeah.
I originally thought this could be the containment unit. I still think that's a possibility. Maybe a downstairs version that it dumps into.
Yeah.
We're not sure.
Why am I drippings with goo? Yep.
I think that they spent a little too much time on this scene. Like, this is a fun scene.
So do I.
But I think it should have come earlier rather than ending with this.
I do love this line, though. The power of Patty compels you.
I like that Melissa McCarthy gets slapped. That's my favorite.
That was good.
No, I think it's a funny scene. I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome. I just don't think it should have been the last scene.
No, I don't.
In the
But
trailer.
it does kind of... I do appreciate... It feels like Ghostbusters, but it feels like new. Also, I tried calling this number for the Chinese food place, and it didn't pick up.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. That is the entire trailer.
Colton, final impressions.
Final impressions, I feel still a little cautious, but very excited. I feel like the movie is in good hands. I feel like Paul Feig takes everything seriously enough, but is willing to branch out a little bit and show us the Ghostbusters that we hadn't seen before. It feels enough like the real Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters the video game to where I can appreciate it and find some amount of nostalgia in it, but it's not beating me over the head with it every 2 seconds.
I don't know, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopefully optimistic. We could always have another Indiana Jones trailer or Crystal Skull movie trailer combination going on.
Yeah.
But then again, we could be pleasantly surprised. I'm choosing to be positive.
So
and
am I.
I feel this trailer does demonstrate a good positivity about it. And I'm excited.
Honestly, Ghostbusters 2, not a fantastic movie, but it's fun. And that's all I want from this movie. I want a fun experience that I can go to my first Ghostbusters premiere. I want something that I can quote and build props from and have fun with and kind of reinvigorate me.
I want to tie back to the original movies. I want it so bad. I want it to be... I want it to like go back in time and still say, oh, look, it actually is Ghostbusters 3. I want that so bad. But even if that doesn't happen, I think it'll be a fun ride. It's going to be a new Ghostbuster film, which we haven't had in 25 years. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for what it is so far. And I'd be tickled pink if they were able to bring it back in even more.
Honestly, the only way we're ever going to get that is if we support this. If it goes well, we'll see a lot more Ghostbusters in our future, I think.
Exactly, and it's not destroying the past. The
No.
past is still there. We can still go back and watch the DVDs of real Ghostbusters, of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. The fact is, this is what's happening, and so it's time to accept it and be happy for what we have. A new Ghostbuster film with updated graphics, with the streams. Let's give it a chance.
The new Ghostbusters will be ready to answer that call July 15th, 2016. We'll see you then. Until then, I'm Colton Cook.
I'm Scott Silver with Dungeon Crawlers Radio. Who are you going to call? This is one of the few times we actually see inside the Chinese headquarters.
That's true. That sounds like some kind of like Cold War thing.
No.
Chinese headquarters.
This is one of the few times we actually see inside the Chinese headquarters.
That's true. That sounds like some kind of like Cold War thing.
No.
Chinese headquarters.
Check.
You have a drumstick?
Check.
Drumstick kicking?
Okay. Now we're talking. We are talking now. Talking out. Why are you guys laughing at me?
Okay.
I'm talking to you. We are just talking casually and normally. Give me a mic.
I am casual American man.